Welcome, everybody. If we've never met before, my name is Michelle Pathay. I am a community manager at Flatiron School, and I'm incredibly excited for our session tonight. We're going to be talking about overcoming barriers in career transition. We're going to be talking a little bit about, the job market right now. We're going to be talking about what job seekers are currently kind of experiencing, any of those obstacles that folks are encountering. And we're also going to be talking a little bit about, what support is available as a Flatiron School student or a Flatiron School graduate. And to discuss all of these things with us is Scott Bowman, who is our director of career coaching. Scott's been in the industry for a while. I'm going to let him introduce himself in just a moment, but I think we're in for a real treat tonight. So we have the chat available. If you want to ask any questions at any point during the presentation, go ahead and drop your questions there. There is also the Q&A button on Zoom. I'm going to kind of be in the background while Scott's giving his presentation, making sure that we answer any questions that do come up. So with that, Scott, the floor is yours. Take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Michelle. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here today and joining me for our topic of overcoming 2024's barriers in career transition with Flatiron School. So the goal of this presentation is not to, lay out every single possible strategy that you could take to be successful in overcoming these barriers, but to really align the problem solving as well as the solutions with how you will tap into resources and make the most of your experience at Flatiron School, really in that benefit and in your long-term benefit, right? So part of this will go into a good amount of content here today. I have a lot of great strategy, feedback, advice, but I also really want this to be interactive. So feel free to share questions. I'm familiar with many of you. I see some of you in the chat, so great to see you again. And thanks for joining me here today. My goal is to leave about 15 minutes at the end for questions. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. So that said, let us go to the next slide. So a little about me. I've spent 13 years in career services, and I've spent the last 6 years at Flatiron School. I am the director of career coaching here at Flatiron School. I'm very privileged to be in this position to be able to solve some of the biggest challenges that face our workforce, going into the future, right? As well as long-lasting historical challenges that have always been there, right? That really need a 2024 spin, and looking at it through new, fresh perspectives. So I've contributed to the success of thousands of technical professionals in making career transitions throughout my career, and especially more recently here at Flatiron School. I also have a master's degree in higher education leadership. So I absolutely believe in the value of education, continuing your education. I believe education should be something you can continue to do. You don't just stop. And so I'm in an incredible position in this position to be able to continue to learn, to be able to be on that front end, the front lines, and to see bleeding edge strategies played out in our workforce. What I do, I lead a team of incredibly talented career coaches who work one-on-one with our Flatiron grads in career transition. I also identify and share best practices for successful learning and career change. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I always am welcoming people to my network, and I'm always sharing great content and engaging with my network out there as well. So if you want to stay in the know, make sure that you're following me. All right, today in our agenda, we'll cover the evolving job market. We'll cover my observations on 2024's top barriers, and a little bit about why these came up as barriers. how Flatiron School will help you along the way. We'll kind of go through each and every single one of these barriers and we'll talk about that. And then we'll open things up for questions. So really excited to dive in, and I hope that you are as well. Let's start by exploring recent trends in the tech job market. So the tech landscape and the tech job market isn't just a static landscape, right? It's more like a bustling city that's constantly changing and growing. New opportunities appear, companies adapt their needs, and skills required for success shift accordingly. While these changes can be unpredictable, understanding the current trends and challenges can be your superpower in navigating this exciting professional world, which I acknowledge can also be scary at times, especially if you're paying a lot of attention to the news. 2023's impact. Last year was quite the roller coaster for the tech industry. Remember the headlines about tech companies scaling back and laying off employees? You may still be seeing it a little bit here and there. While it was concerning, at the time and continues to be a concern on the back of some people's minds, it's important to note that the pace of these layoffs has significantly slowed down. And we've seen a clear decrease in both the number of companies affected and the total number of individuals impacted compared to 2023. We tend to see these changes on a quarterly basis. August was on the lower end. October, again, was another big period of layoffs. However, right, it's also unclear to what extent layoffs directly impacted technical versus tech adjacent employees. This is very much case by case. It depends on the company. And in the wake of these layoffs, many companies have taken advantage of the surge in talent and continue to hire to this day. Think of it like this. In 2022, the tech job market was booming with record-breaking numbers of open positions. Right? This naturally led to a period of correction in 2023. Right? I'm calling this a tech job market correction, where companies reassess their needs and hiring slowed down. It doesn't mean that hiring stopped entirely, and we still saw a steady trickle of opportunities through there. But companies were more inclined to push out hiring timelines and defer offers. And we're especially seeing that into this new year with more and more people getting offers where they were interviewing in the latter half of last year. However, this doesn't mean that the market is frozen, and there are still, several 100,000 open tech jobs waiting to be filled, signaling that there are many opportunities ahead in your future. So the key to success here is knowing the trends and challenges in tech industry is your biggest advantage. By understanding the rising demand for skills like AI and the increasing value of remote work options, you can make better informed decisions about your career path and position yourself for success. So as you can see here, right, a little bit of a peak, right, under 500,000. This is just one source. We've seen a varying degree of sources. I'll show you a few more sources here that really punctuate this in certain ways. So if we zoom out and we look at long-term trends in the tech industry, we continue to see an upward trend. So the tech industry and growth in the tech industry has been marked by, periods of growth as well as periods of stagnation, right? Where new technologies, come and go along the way. And so companies are constantly shedding their size or growing in certain new areas. And that's definitely a trend that we continue to see. I'm not here to do attribution in terms of exactly what caused, high levels of layoffs. But that said, if we look at this in the long term, we're still in a great position to continue to see opportunity growth. And if you look at this, assuming this is 174,000 jobs, if there's even 10% of that are entry level, it's still 17,000 incredible opportunities and counting, plus the amount of opportunities that will be created that have not yet been posted. So it's really hard to predict the actual number of job openings at any given point in time. However, at these periods of time, we've been able to continuously see growth with the data that's available to us. High job growth paired with low unemployment means that job seekers and those impacted by layoffs are also finding new jobs despite recent employment trends. So you can see here, unemployment levels and claims peaked in April 2020, of course, in line with the pandemic. And we've been in this continuous downward trend where there's less and less people filing for unemployment insurance claims on a monthly basis. And we continue to see this at a almost historic lows, right, which is really impressive. That said, there's continuous opportunity and people who have been laid off tend to find, we've seen this time and time again, people who've been laid off tend to find roles or stopgap employment sooner rather than later, to the extent that they may not be as dependent on insurance claims. But there's a lot of complexity there. Through patience, persistence, resourcefulness, and the incredible team at Flatiron School, our students continue to report impressive job titles. And as mentioned earlier, the Bureau of Labor Statistics predicts a continued increase in employment opportunities over the next decade. So if we continue to zoom out and we were to draw that line going forward ahead another 10 years, we would continue to see very strong demand within these industries. Now, let's dive deeper, right? In the next section, we'll tackle the 7 biggest obstacles that you might encounter as you navigate your career transition in 2024. We'll also explore how Flatiron School equips you with the skills and resources to overcome these hurdles and land your dream job in the ever-evolving tech landscape. All right, let's dive into the trenches. We all know transitioning careers can feel like navigating a minefield, and 2024 has its own set of hidden obstacles. But fear not, I'm here to shed light on the top 8 challenges that you might encounter and how Flatiron School can help you turn them into stepping stones, right? And maybe things that you have considered or things that you've done and strategies that you've put into place along the way. We're always learning something new. All right, so here's my list of observations of top obstacles, barriers, or opportunities, depending on how you look at it, going back the last few years, right? And where this stems from is really from continuous conversations with prospective students. These are the key things that we're hearing about on a regular basis. These are things that people in their job search are concerned about. These are things that continuously pop up in headlines out there for top barriers, but it's not an exhaustive list. And of course, every individual has their own unique barriers and challenges that may, create those ups and downs in their job search. And that's the reality, and that's the benefit of working with Flatiron School, and especially your instructors, with your staff, and with the career coaching team to identify and overcome those barriers. So let's go through this list very quick, and then we'll dive into how Flatiron School will support you with that. So skills gaps. Remember back to our picture of the ever-changing tech landscape. It's not just a fancy phrase. It means skills become obsolete faster than that milk that you forgot in the back of the fridge. But don't worry, we'll equip you with in-demand skills in software engineering, product design, data science, cybersecurity, whichever pathway that you choose. We'll also explore the world of AI, making you a top tech candidate who can solve tomorrow's biggest challenges, right? And part of that is learning how to learn. So learning in this environment opens up doors for you to continue to learn throughout your job search, and then in your first job as a new employee and as a professional of an organization and as a contributor to a business, right? Workplace flexibility. Picture this. You're juggling a career transition, family time, and maybe a list of chores. Rigid work schedules are a recipe for burnout, but Flatiron School understands that. We'll help you navigate the rise of remote work and find companies that prioritize your well-being so you can really take command of your career goals without sacrificing your sanity. And that's really important. The long hiring process. So this may be relatable for many of you that are either in between jobs or looking for your next opportunity. Maybe you have an interview or you have great a connection and your foot is in the door, right? We're seeing longer and longer hiring processes, as I had alluded to earlier. Companies are more and more willing to push out the timeline of their hiring, especially right now on tighter budgets, trying to make the most of the team that you have while keeping that strategy and both near-term and long-term strategy of growing your team alive. So companies are really paying attention to this. The job hunt can feel like running a marathon in molasses. It's slow, grueling, and you might attract some sticky situations, so to speak. But Flatiron School is your personal trainer. We'll optimize your resume, coach you through interviews, and provide insider tips on navigating the long, winding road to landing your dream job. So it's really important that you make the most of the resources that you have while at Flatiron School, taking advantage of instructor time, coach time, staff time, wherever you can, and it can really help you build the trust that you need in yourself, as well as the skills that you have, so that you can be confident in your job search down the line, right, and see things through. Inflation and adaptability. We've also felt the pinch of rising costs. Like we've all felt that. But don't let inflation deflate your career dreams. Flatiron School will help you research salary trends, negotiate competitive compensation packages, and identify industries that offer financial stability, right? Remember that your worth is more than just a dollar sign, but knowing your market value is crucial in this inflationary whirlwind. Lack of experience in entry-level opportunities. Entry-level opportunities can feel like a mythical creature, and everyone talks about them, but nobody seems to find them. But fear not. There are absolutely entry-level jobs out there, and many companies are purposefully adding additional layers of experience. Many companies are purposefully hiding entry-level positions. But most importantly, the vast majority of companies hire through referrals. And so building trust with company, can seem like a challenging ask, but Flatiron School can make it surprisingly easy. Right? Flatiron School will guide you through the experience maze to help you identify opportunities or opportunities for your experience to really connect the dots to the positions that you're seeing out there. If you ever look at any long tech job description, you may notice that, amidst the technical skills and jargon that you may or may not understand, there are bullet points in there where they specifically state, hey, we want someone who is a team player, right? Is a proactive collaborator, right? Those soft skills, those personality traits, right? And the reality is that you can learn technical skills, but we can't teach you to be someone who is a good contributor to our team, or someone that we want to be around, or someone who understands our customers or our values and where we want to be. So we take out a lot of the guesswork and help you strengthen your resume, not only through the technical skills, but also through the skills that you're bringing inherently to problem solve and help companies, customers, your teammates, and these projects succeed. Attitudes towards older workers. Let's be real, ageism exists, but at Flatiron School, we believe experience is a superpower, not a kryptonite. We'll help you showcase your wisdom, adaptability, and professionalism, proving that age is just a number when it comes to thriving in a tech world, and climbing that mountain and to really show off what you're made of, right? Next is absence of a reliable professional network. Imagine trying to build a sandcastle in the Sahara. It's a lonely endeavor. Plus, I don't think the sand really stacks very well from what I've seen. Hence all the dunes everywhere. But building a career needs a strong network, right? Flatiron School connects you to a thriving community of over 7,500 alumni and industry professionals. And in this, seemingly, quiet, empty networking desert, really helping you reach out outside your comfort zone and turn networking, as well as tapping into the wide variety of resources around you into a strength. And last but not least is imposter syndrome in here. And these are feelings of feelings of self-doubt and incompetence, your limiting beliefs, the things that you tell yourself that maybe keep you from acting in your best interest at times. So we'll dive into these here in just a moment, and we'll go through these a little bit more individually, one by one. All right, so let's face it, traditional education often lags behind the tech industry's lightning fast pace. At Flatiron School, we're constantly evolving our curriculum to stay ahead of the curve. Whether you're interested in software engineering, product design, data science, or cybersecurity, our immersive programs are packed with hands-on training and practical knowledge that employers crave. Imagine stepping into your first job interview with confidence radiating from you like an aura. Imagine knowing you're confident in the skills companies are desperate for. That's a feeling that you'll have after graduating from Flatiron School. And I have to say that confidence is is easier said than done. You will still feel like an imposter at times, right? But knowing that you put your hands on these projects, you have something that you can directly show for that effort, screenshots, projects, capstone, etc. That is the proof in the pudding, right? That really demonstrates the technical skills and aptitude that you have and what you can bring to the table. Our expert instructors aren't just academics, they're industry veterans who know exactly what our employers are looking for. You won't just learn, you'll master the cutting edge skills that will help you land your dream role. Our career coaching team as well will help you strategize a successful bespoke plan tailored to you, fueled by continuous learning that keeps your skills sharp for the job that you want as well. Right? So skills gaps are a continuous challenge for anyone throughout this industry. There's always skills that you don't have, but one of the great skills that you do have is the ability to learn and acquire new information. So while there's seemingly an infinite number of things that you could learn, in your job search, you'll be really successful by having a clear plan, by stating directly, by having a number of interests and being very clear of your own motivations and where you want to be. right? And in doing so, uh, it's a lot easier to overcome each individual barrier, skills gaps. Things that you don't know are things that you could know, and things that you will know uh, within your control. So skills gaps are absolutely a barrier, but certainly an opportunity for you to really take that first step and set yourself apart from maybe some of these more experienced professionals whose skills are slowly becoming obsolete. Next is workplace flexibility. Remember that feeling of being chained in your desk, wishing you could work in your pajamas while your cat cuddles next to you? Well, guess what? The tides are turning. My cat is somewhere around here, actually. Recent events have shown that companies can thrive even without everyone crammed into an office. And if you are willing to work in an office, having the flexibility or willingness to go back in the office is also a really marketable trait for companies out there. Because there are companies that are coming back to the office, and one of the key differentiators for people is people who live and work in that area and can come into the office for regular team functions and trainings and things like that, as opposed to they may have an advantage over someone who may live in a completely different state and has to access certain elements of their job fully remote. So there is definitely a trend towards making a workplace more accessible, and especially being able to do this job just about anywhere in the world. But also, I would say there's an advantage to being willing to or having experience in working in an office. This essentially means that there's really exciting opportunities for you to choose the workplace that fits your life and not the other way around. So the Great Resignation and tech layoffs of 2023 sent a clear message. Qualified talent wants options. Companies are waking up and changing their tune, offering remote work, hybrid schedules, and other flexibility perks to attract and retain the best people. By 2025, over 32 million Americans will be working remotely, and that's almost a third of the workforce. So we're continuing to trend in that direction. Here at Flatiron School, we don't just talk about flexibility, we live it. About 75% of our grads in 2023 found remote or hybrid remote jobs, proving that our skills are in high demand even when you're not physically in the office. But it's not just about remote work. We help you identify companies that prioritize work-life balance, flexible schedules, and other perks that matter to you. So don't settle for one-size-fits-all cubicle prison. And for some people, they love that too. I mean, I do remember, of course, those days pre-pandemic, and I have worked in a cubicle, and there's definitely advantages as well. One of the great advantages too is if you live near one of our campuses, you can always drop in, and there's always a really awesome space there and a community there that you can, continue to learn along with. So if you are an in-person person, then that is something that we also provide. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about the long hiring process. So as I mentioned before, job hunting can feel like an endless marathon with applications stretching as far as the eye can see. The process can be long, demanding, and filled with twists and turns, of course. On average, it takes 3 to 6 months, sometimes even longer. Industry data is kind of trending in the direction of longer than 6 months in a lot of different areas. On average, it takes about 3 to 6 months and involves several rounds of interviews. And even then, landing the job isn't a guaranteed victory. But take a deep breath, because Flatiron School can help you navigate this marathon with speed and confidence. let's be honest, the statistics aren't exactly sunshine and rainbows. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tells us that most job searches in the US last between 5 and 6 months. And getting an interview for every application that you submit, less than 8% chance on most applications and for most industries. And depending on the industry, it can be even more challenging. It's definitely enough to make you want to throw in the towel. But here's the good news. Flatiron School graduates experience significantly shorter job searches. On average, our graduates land their dream jobs in just 3.5 months. Take a sip of water here. How do we do it? We don't just send you into the maze alone, right? You are surrounded by a community, you're surrounded by a team, your career coach hand in hand with you to really help you keep your head up when you are feeling maybe at your lowest in your job search. And job search is tough for anyone, right? Even people like me, I've had challenges in job search in the past as well, right? As a career services professional, we also experience those challenges. But think of Flatiron School as, think of Flatiron School as your personalized job search bootcamp in addition to your discipline that you are studying, right? We polish your resume with expert feedback, hone your interview skills through mock sessions, mock interview sessions, workshops, and provide networking opportunities through events and our expansive alumni network. If you're currently a student and you're not already tapping into our alumni network, I highly encourage you to begin connecting with, adding people, asking for their advice, getting their feedback, and following their content, right, as they continue to evolve through their careers. Through this expansive alumni network, if you graduate our program, you'll be part of that for life. With over 7,500 grads, you'll continue to benefit simply by seeing where people went, and that can open up a lot of doors. As I mentioned, referrals really help you get in the door. And by having such an expansive network, you can easily figure out, let's say through LinkedIn, go to that employer network, take a look at how many people work at Meta, right? How many people work at, let's say, SpaceX, right? And then be strategic, introduce yourself. And because you're part of that network as an alumni, right, it's a lot easier to tap in because of that mutual shared experience. And additionally, we don't just give you general advice. We, have a portal. We have such incredible opportunities for you to connect directly with potential employers. Our job portal is a treasure trove of tech job openings, and our regular employer and alumni spotlight events bring you face to face with hiring managers seeking talent just like you, people that both want to expand their networks and also really want to be able to keep an eye on up and coming potential in the industry, which is extremely important. Essentially, it's all about cutting out the noise and forging direct connections that lead to faster results. So get out there, have conversations. Don't just talk to 2 people, talk to as many people as you can within your industry. And that really helps you identify advocates as well as people that can open up doors that you might not have considered. All right, making pretty good time here. Adapting to inflation. So let's face it, rising inflation isn't exactly a picnic for anyone, and it definitely impacts the tech job market. Companies have tighter budgets, competition heats up, and everyone's naturally drawn to careers that help keep up the cost of living, right? Whether you're a career changer or a seasoned pro, finding a job that offers financial stability in this climate can feel like a real balancing act. But guess what? Flatiron School can help you master this balancing act, or tread to the best of your ability, and land a career that keeps your wallet happy. So let's be clear, inflation is influencing everyone's career decisions. Companies are more cautious with hiring. Competition for open positions becomes fiercer, and experienced workers and career changers are particularly focused on roles that offer strong compensation packages, benefits, workplace cultures, uh, lifestyles that maybe they didn't have, right? It's not just about chasing the highest salary, though. It's also about finding a job that provides financial security and helps you thrive in this changing landscape. And at Flatiron School, we don't ignore the elephant in the room. We equip you with knowledge, tools to navigate the realities of the job market. It can be very tough. There are definitely students, there are definitely job seekers and people who take on side work or other work and find a balance through our part-time programs, et cetera, and successfully graduate while balancing all of these just spinning plates everywhere, right? It's extremely impressive, and that story also makes it that much more worth it for that next employer to be able to say, hey, this is someone who overcame the odds and came out on the other end that much better. We the next part of this, like, we don't really just tell you to apply everywhere. We guide you towards industries and companies that are known for offering competitive compensation packages, prioritizing employee well-being. And this is highly bespoke and individualized as well. When you have a conversation with career services, every single individual is going to have a slightly different value in terms of what's important, what will pay the bills, as well as what's what is ideal, right? What is maybe that stretch goal, right? To take out a lot of the guesswork and get you that much closer to achieving your goals. So remember that your individual skills and experience are a secret weapon. Flatiron School helps you identify and articulate your unique value proposition, showcasing how your talents and expertise translate into concrete benefits for potential employers. When you stand out as a valuable asset, negotiating a strong compensation package becomes that much easier. Okay. So throughout your Flatiron School journey, you'll have plenty of opportunities to continuously explore your value proposition, who you are, what you want to be. And, this is something that will help empower you in overcoming those challenges sooner rather than later. All right, so this slide we'll go through fairly quick, and then we should have a little bit of time left for questions here. So navigating the tech industry can feel like a puzzle with a lot of potential missing pieces. Lack of experience, age concerns, and building a network can all seem like hurdles, but don't let them discourage you. Flatiron School equips you with the tools and knowledge to overcome these challenges and land your dream job, as I had mentioned. So new graduates, and we'll talk about lack of experience, new graduates and career changers often worry about the no experience, no job dilemma, right? I don't have experience. I don't have a job. I need to have a job in order to get experience, right? But that's not always the case. And companies are increasingly recognizing the potential of fresh talent and skills. And many job postings actually seek candidates with passion and eagerness to learn, not just years of experience. Reading between the lines on a lot of these opportunities is extremely important. And it's less about meeting every single qualification, and it's more about speaking up for the qualifications that you do have. And it's something that the vast majority of applicants for these opportunities are really not customizing their resumes to the specific opportunity out there. And always with your resume, with your application, you're putting your best foot forward. Well, your best foot are the things that you have that meet them in the middle, that meet the company in the middle, right? And what you may lack in 2 years of experience or 5 years of experience, you make up for in X, Y, and Z. And your career coach, the team that surrounds you, will help you articulate that value that you have. We also guide you in how to network with potential employers and effectively showcase your potential, even if you're just starting out. So that can be a challenge for a lot of people that are new to the industry. They may not have networked for a job in the past. They may not have, but there are a lot of people here, maybe even in this crowd, that you've been referred to a job before, or someone that you knew worked somewhere and they pulled you into that company. That certainly also happens in the tech industry. Next, ageism shouldn't be a hurdle in your career journey. The reality is that, these stereotypes, these biases exist, right? That tech industry is actually quite diverse, contrary to that, in terms of age. With the median age of IT workers and just tech, I'm using IT as a subset of this, but the median age of IT workers in the US standing at 41. This means your experience and expertise are valuable assets, not drawbacks. And oftentimes leadership and management are aged above that as well. That said, Flatiron School really helps you showcase your strengths, your strong professional background, the adaptability that you bring, the leadership skills, as well as the fact that we can teach an old dog new tricks, right? And that you can learn new tricks, right? That is also really important, to have that hands-on learning, to really be able to connect the dots and bring things home for an employer. We also provide guidance on addressing ageism head on and advocating for equal opportunities, which is really important. Remember, you can do it, right? I mean, it is certainly a challenge, but that said, we help you focus on the factors that are in your control so that you can put your best foot forward at every step. And then finally here is the absence of a professional, reliable network. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but we have a really robust built-in network of over 7,500 alumni who support you in your career transition, and you'll be invited to meet them. We also help students connect with tech industry professionals through networking events, workshops, as well as our alumni network. You can research out there the hidden job market. Facts and figures range widely, but generally there's a consensus that about 70 to 80% of tech jobs are filled through word of mouth. So while many companies do post jobs online, it definitely pays to be someone that someone at that company already knows, and to get ahead of that curve. We can help you strategize with that and ask great, and ask great questions to help you explore how you perhaps overcome these barriers in the past, right? For many people, they may not realize that the way that they've solved these problems in the past is translatable into the industry that they want to be a part of in the future. And so if you've met people in the past, right, it's not a huge stretch to begin meeting people in your industry, participating in incredible events, and putting your foot out there, participating in the discussion. Lastly, I wanted to mention imposter syndrome. So raise your paw if you're feeling a bit like this confused pup right now. Okay, I definitely see some hands raised. There's no shame, and yeah, the reality is that we all have our moments where we wonder if we're wearing the career equivalent of lab goggles on backwards. This little phenomena is called imposter syndrome. It's that nagging feeling or whisper shouting in your ear that you don't belong, that your accomplishments are a fluke, that at any minute someone will discover that you're actually just a squirrel in a wig trying to code. But trust me, it's as common as caffeine in boot camp and just as potent. It's also really common across, regardless of the amount of experience that you have, it's extremely common across the industry. Now, there's no magic spell to banish imposter syndrome forever. We all have to face, that little monster at some point. But here's good news: you're not alone, and that is half the battle, right? Well, that is always fun when I jump ahead. So when you hear your inner critic start throwing beakers of self-doubt, remember these key points. Everyone feels it. Even those seemingly superstar peers probably have their own personal squirrels and wigs, right? Their own little lingering self-doubts in the back of their mind. Remember, everyone's learning journey is different, and some people just wear their confusion better than others. So don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10. You're on your own unique career path. So let's ditch the comparison game and celebrate your own progress. Those small steps will still move you forward, even if they don't feel like giant leaps. Leaning into the uncomfortable and feeling lost and stuck is also part of that process, right? But leaning into that uncomfortable and embracing the challenge, asking for help. We're all here for you at Flatiron School, and remembering that you embarked on this adventure in the first place is extremely important and notable. Breathe, sleep, repeat. You need to take care of yourself. Your brain needs fuel, and the rest to tackle those coding conundrums, challenges, things that may come up along the way, right? And when you're stressed, any challenge that's ahead of you can feel that much bigger. And most importantly, celebrate the wins, big and small, right? Every problem that you solve, every line of code, every supportive conversation is a victory, and be your own cheerleader. But fortunately, with Flatiron School, you have an entire network of support around you to lift you up when you're feeling at your lowest. So ultimately, imposter syndrome is just a beautiful part of this mess of learning and growing, right? Embrace it, understand it, and most importantly, keep moving forward. You've got this. And even if you occasionally pour chemicals into your coffee, we've all been there. So I'm going to flash on the screen here a little about career services at Flatiron School. I've kind of mentioned some of this along the way, but our career coaching program is very comprehensive. It covers both an entire curriculum during the program, as well as one-on-one support, as well as connections to our employer partnerships post-graduation. I will leave us here with some questions.
Awesome. Scott, wow. Thank you so much for that very thorough kind of retrospective into the job market and career transition and all that good stuff. Been seeing lots of activity in the chat and the Q&A. I'm going to go ahead and kind of start chipping away at them if you don't mind. And of course, everyone, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or the Q&A. We'll do our best in the next 7 minutes to get to all those questions. So, question from Aser. I'm still undecided between software engineering and data science. Is software engineering still in demand? Or do you see junior level jobs getting replaced by AI?
I don't really see any particular jobs, especially at this moment, being entirely replaced by AI. Uh, there's been talks and trends in the industry for over a decade of, replacing technical people's roles with AI, or certain tools coming in and replacing what you do. But there's a certain creative element, there's a certain quality control element that comes to having a person as the end user of that tool, or the person who perhaps is running the AI, but is then, you know checking the validity of the output to make sure that it's actually something that's valuable and fits naturally into the ongoing context of problem solving. So that said, there's still a lot of work there. I don't see AI completely replacing jobs in the near term. That said, there are a lot of, I think, pivots for companies where they reduce their workforce so that they could focus on building AI tools, systems, processes, etc. That's not to say that they are planning to replace their market, but great example is Amazon really pivoting its team from Alexa into more of an AI focus. And I think there's a lot of companies that really interested in investing in it. But in terms of what that looks like operationalized and replacing people, it's hard to say. So in terms of opportunities between software engineering and data science, Bureau of Labor Statistics is a really great place to start. Know that software engineering is a much more mature kind of facet of the industry, where data science is kind of a newer aspect of it as well. And there's still a ton of data. Companies need to manage their data. And especially with AI and large language models, machine learning, et cetera, there's absolutely a lot of need for data scientists as well as software engineers to have those skill sets. So yeah, I'd say the overall total number of employed software engineers is much higher, but there's software engineers who work with data scientists. There's cybersecurity people that are data scientists. There's software engineers that are, it's not all mutually exclusive. And by working in one, you can still, maybe work more in a data centric type of software engineering role, or work more on a back end kind of focus. That's a great question.
Yeah, I think it's pretty common for folks to maybe like choose a discipline and not fully understand like the scope of the skills, where you can really take it into so many different directions. And we're just kind of equipping you with like that initial tool belt that you'll build upon in any way that you want to. So I think that's a really great way of kind of looking at that, Scott. Yeah. Okay, real quick, can you, let's see. Jonathan wants to know, does Flatiron ever coach on how to be a freelancer? I understand that it's mostly a job placement program, but there are many programmers that work on a project deadline based process. And I was curious about your thoughts on that. Coaching about freelancing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, our career coaches many of them have their own side businesses and have started businesses successfully, or been part of executive leadership teams as well. So there is certainly that thought leadership there as well. If you work with your career coach, they can help you explore those resources a little bit more based on their own individual understanding. But in terms of freelancing, we're not specifically building the skills for you to freelance on your own. That's a whole other layer of complexity, service level agreements, managing certain legal aspects of that as well. I mean, that there is a learning curve, I would say, in becoming a freelancer, a successful freelancer. That said, you work with your career coach on whichever goal that you would like to pursue. I think one of the questions, and even going back to the last question to ask you both, is what kinds of problems would you like to solve? and then think about it that way. Is there a way that I can solve those problems in more of a freelance or contract based kind of environment as I get myself out there into the industry?
Awesome. Zach wants to know, would working a help desk job look good on a resume before kind of pivoting into that dream job?
Yeah, it really depends. I think each individual is on their own. You know, each individual has their own kind of preferences in terms of what they can or wouldn't be willing to accept. You are not failing by accepting an opportunity that maybe is slightly different from your original expectations, because a career is a long-term journey, right? While you may not start at that perfect starting point every single time, and I'd say there's certainly a lot of students who do ditch the entry level title, that do ditch the junior or associate kind of designation there. But that said, you get a lot out of being out there and being in a position to solve problems and being given or granted that trust by others, and going into a help desk environment, perhaps with a software engineering or cybersecurity skill set, may add a lot more value in that environment than they had originally attributed. So we tend to see people that do start in those types of positions, learning a lot more about themselves than others who might have skipped that journey, and identifying preferences in other areas they might not have considered had a really substantial need. So I would, that it's a really great question for yourself. But, I guess another question would be, what would you lose by accepting a position that is maybe lower than your expectations? So without a clear answer, because we have some very limited time here.
I know we are nearly at time. Real quick, Scott, would you mind clicking to the slide right before key observations? I guess one of the slides that you had with some of the stats on all this.
Yes. Absolutely.
Cool. Awesome. Let's
I also saw a question on how to find our alumni network. Go on to LinkedIn, search Flatiron School under company. There'll be an alumni tab right there. You can easily tap in, connect to people. But if you're not already following Flatiron School, you should be, because then you get all of our great content and event reminders like this.
Definitely. I'm sorry we couldn't get to everyone's questions this evening, but I'm so happy that so many folks were engaged and really curious about everything that Scott was discussing tonight. Again, we're going to send out the recording to this. I'm going to drop some links into the chat one more time. The first one is a feedback form. Would love to know what you thought about this event, how we can improve this experience for you as a Flatiron community member. I'm also sharing a link to our events page on our website, where you can find out about what we have coming up in the next couple of weeks. And last but not least, if you are someone who is considering a career transition, maybe you're familiar with Flatiron School, but you're not quite sure if you're going to take the leap, there's a link here where you can just book a 10-minute chat with someone from our admissions team. So with that, thank you everyone so much again. Thank you, Scott, for such an informative, enlightening discussion. And I hope everyone has a wonderful evening, and I hope to see you all at an event soon. Take it easy, everyone.
Thank you all so much.